Good evening everybody and welcome to Tuesday night's theory workshop here at Direct Drive Hub. I trust you all had a good weekend. Shame about the weather turning for the worse, but I suppose it is October so we shouldn't complain too much. Which really kind of brings me on to what we're going to discuss on tonight's theory workshop. I thought we'd have a look at weather and how weather's going to affect us a little bit and what we should be kind of doing with the weather. So a good source of reference for this for you is Driving Essential Skills. And if you turn to chapter 12, which is page 247, you'll be able to read all about it. There'll be obviously full details and that in the book, for you to get your head around on this one. So yeah, the weather's turning, and I think it's, especially the time of year, we need to think about how weather conditions and what's going on is going to affect the way that we drive. So it is important, that we check our car to make sure that the car is actually going to be up to driving in the weather conditions we've got. So the first really important thing, is tyres. Having a good visual check on your tyres regularly is important. Generally with what I do when I clean the car and sort the car out once a week, and that, to be fair, I actually tend to give my car a visual check tyres. So we need to make sure that tyres have adequate tread. The tread depth is 1.6 millimeters of tread, which should run the entire circumference of the wheel and also cover the central 3/4 breadth of the tyre. So if there's any part of your tyre then is obviously in that is coming less than 1.6 millimeters, then obviously you need to think about changing and replacing the tyre. Normally on most tyres, they have a tread depth gauge. Tread depth markers. You'll see within the tread there's normally little lugs in the actual tread of the tyre. Now manufacturers normally set those lugs, those wear gauges on the tyres around about the 2 mil. So if you find they're now coming flush with your tyre, then you know that your tyre is obviously coming towards the end of its life. You can check your tread depth by getting a tread depth gauge, or you can use a 20p coin. So I've got one, yeah. So if you look at a 20p coin, and on the outer bit, you can see that we've got the surround on the outer bit of the 20p coin. That's roughly about 1.6 millimeters. So if you stick that coin into the tread, and obviously put your thumb where it ends and pull it out, it will give you a rough idea, whether you're at the 1.6 millimeters. So it's a good little tread depth gauge to use without actually having to go buy one. So check around it. You shouldn't just check it in one spot. Check around it. As I say, that 1.6 millimeters should go all the way around the tyre, and it's also covering the central 3/4 breadth of the tyre. So if you've got a little bit of wear on the edges, that's not necessarily a bad thing, as long as the central 3/4 breadth of the tyre is 1.6 millimeters. However, if you are getting wear on the edges of your tyres, outer edge or the inner edge, it could mean that there's something wrong with the tracking, the setup of your tyres, so it might want looking at. Otherwise, you find that if the tracking and that is wrong, you're actually going to be wearing your tyres down quicker than you should do. The other thing is to make sure that your tyres are inflated to the correct pressure. So the pressure is normally found in the owner's handbook. You normally get a little handbook, which probably might find in the glove box. Find out what the correct pressure is. Now you might find on some manufacturers that the front tyre pressure is going to be slightly higher than the tyre pressure at the rear. Sometimes the equal. On my car, actually the manufacturers recommend the same pressure on all 4 wheels, but I have known in the past that slightly higher pressure on the front than the rear. And that's generally because there's more weight on the front tyres. Obviously you've got the engine sitting down, bearing down on the front tyres, so because of the extra weight and load on those front tyres, the manufacturers are recommending a little bit more pressure in those tyres. You need to think about whether you're going to be fully loaded or unloaded, because obviously if you're fully loaded, like you're going on holiday and you've got a lot of weight in the car, then obviously you probably need to think about increasing the tyre pressure. So the manufacturer will recommend, okay, a normal load and a fully loaded pressure. So check that. Obviously if you're putting the pressure up for fully loaded, just remember then, okay, once you go back to normal, you'll need to obviously deflate the tyres slightly. The other thing I'd recommend, okay, when it comes to checking your tyre pressure, if you're going to a garage and using a pressure gauge at a garage, I would actually recommend that you actually use different garages from time to time, because if there's a fault on the pressure gauge at the garage that you're using and you're always returning to use the same gauge every single week, for example, you might, okay, have an incorrect tyre pressure there and not realise it. Whereas if you're using, okay, different gauges and they're registering the same, then generally you'll know that your tyre pressure is correct. Again, you can normally visual check, okay, obviously sometimes you can see that, okay, the tyre's looking soft, is going down a little bit, so a good visual check to have a look at that. So making sure that your tyres are in good condition. Coming into this time of year, it's recommended, okay, really you want a nice decent amount of tread on your tyres, because obviously the weather we're having now, a lot of water on the roads, and even running, okay, on those tyres, okay, at minimum tread depth, all right, might actually reduce, okay, the amount of grip that you're getting on the road. So make sure that you have your tyres are in good condition. Same with brakes, okay, brakes want to be in tip-top condition as well this time of year. So again, making sure that your brakes feel right, okay, they shouldn't feel spongy. When you're braking as well, okay, the car shouldn't be pulling to the left or the right, okay, under braking, and those brakes feel right, because again, you know, we're certainly, okay, possibly going to be even more reliant on them, okay. So if you're not sure about the brakes, then obviously it's worth making sure that you take the car to a qualified mechanic garage and have them have a look at that and service your brakes. Other things we need to think about in the car is wipers and washers. So making sure that your wipers are working properly. So obviously when you're operating the wiper, it is giving you a full clear wipe across the screen. There's not any skipping on it. Again, what tends to happen with the rubber on wipers, okay, as they get old, they start to get a bit hard and brittle. So the problem is then, okay, they're not actually clearing your screen properly. The rubber generally should feel quite soft. Making sure it's clean, so you're getting, when it's clearing the screen again, you're not getting excessive smearing and skipping on the windscreen. Also your back wiper as well. Windscreen wash, I mean obviously when we've got a lot of wet roads, we're going to get a lot of spray up, okay, as well, so your windscreens are going to get dirty. So it's important, okay, that your washer bottles are full. And again, as we start to come into the cold temperatures, it's a good idea to make sure that we have windscreen additive in there. Not only does that help, okay, clean the grease and the film off your windscreen, but having the right amount of solution in there, okay, helps prevent, okay, your windscreen washer freezing up, okay, when the temperatures go below 0. So check your windscreens, check it. Also your lights, okay, make sure that, you know, your lights are all working, okay, dipped headlights, main beam, your tail lights, and fog lights front and rear if you've got them, okay. So check your lights regularly in that, because obviously bulbs, okay, on cars can go just like they do in a house, you know, you can switch them on and they can go. So a regular check to make sure that your all your lights are working. A lot of new cars nowadays, okay, actually if a bulb does go, it does tell you. Some older cars, okay, don't, so it is a case of doing a visual check, and obviously having your brake lights all working properly in the bad weather, making sure that you're visible is really, really important. So doing a regular light check. With your brake light, I mean most of them you should be able to check yourself. With your brake lights, you may need some assistance, okay, is, you know, get someone to put the brake on for you, someone standing at the back to make sure the brake lights are coming on. Or you can obviously reverse your car into an area maybe where there's a window, so you can see the reflection of your brake lights to make sure that they're working. That's another good way of checking, okay, your brake lights. Again, this time of year with the rain and all that lot, it's a time where when we're driving and it's raining, our windows mist up, steam up. So again, it's important, okay, that the demister in the car are working properly and you also know how to use it. So you normally have a rear demister in the car for your rear screen and a front one. Okay, the rear demister is normally operated by an electric heated element on the rear screen. When you switch it on, most of them, okay, are on a timer. So when you switch it on, you might find that they stay on for about 10 minutes or so and they automatically switch off. Your front ones, okay, normally, okay, just blow the air from the ventilation up on the windscreen. So you'll see when you turn it on, you'll probably hear the fans go up, and obviously, so you're getting a lot of air blowing up on the front windscreen to clear your front windscreen nice and quickly. It's a good idea, okay, maybe when you're driving in those conditions like that, that you keep a little crack in the window, open your window a little bit, and that just that's the airflow in the car come in and be happier. So that will actually help, okay, to reduce the windows from steaming up. If your car is fitted with air conditioning, alright, you can use your air conditioning, okay, to keep your windows clear. Air conditioning, a lot of people kind of think that air conditioning is just used in the summertime to blow cold air out. No, air conditioning can be used in the car all year round. It will blow cold air as well as warm and hot air, depending on the temperature setting that you set. But what air conditioning also does is it acts as a dehumidifier. So it obviously takes the moisture out of the air. So particularly, okay, I find, okay, when we get the horrible rainy weather and all that lot, okay, we can keep the front windscreen clear, the back windscreen clear, even maybe the driver's and front passenger side window quite clear, but the rear side windows tend to be steamed up. So when it comes time for manoeuvring, reversing and things like that, it can be very difficult to see. Your air conditioning, the great thing about that, keeping that running, it will keep all your windows clear, so that can be of help. The downside to using your air conditioning is when you're running your air conditioning, your AC, it will use more fuel in the car. They roughly say that when you're using your AC, you're probably going to be using roughly about 10% more fuel. So obviously think about that. So it's not a good idea to keep your AC running all the time. I tend to use it just as I need. Okay, switch it on and off as I need. So again, make sure you know where those controls are. So say you know where your rear demister is, your front window demister, air conditioning, electric windows, mostly nowadays in the front. So again, just making sure you know how to open and close the window a little bit. And that all sounds silly, I know, but sometimes, okay, like my window, if you over press it, the window will go completely down. And sometimes when you only want to open a little bit and that. So, it's worth just having a look around and a little bit of a play with those buttons and controls, okay, before you start driving. So again, you know how they work, you know how to operate them. So when you are driving, okay, you're not over fidgeting and it's not causing you, okay, a distraction, okay, as you're driving. So it's not going to be too long, okay, when we start to get some icy weather. So again, think about, okay, those cold mornings, okay, with icy weather and the things that we need to do to prepare for that. So first of all, okay, is before we start driving, let's make sure that we clear all the ice off all of the windows. Alright, you see some people, okay, they'll scrape a little hole in, okay, and they're just trying to look through this little hole and all that lot. Okay, that is actually really dangerous because you're driving, okay, without full visibility around you. It's also illegal. So make sure that, you've got a decent ice scraper, alright, so you can scrape all the ice off the windows. Get your engine running, get your rear demister on, get your front blowers going to clear the, okay, and that will also help, okay, to clear and get all the ice off the window. So make sure that your windows are all nice and clear before you actually start your journey. And then just watch the way that you're driving, okay, obviously ice around, okay, reduce that speed, okay, you certainly want to, okay, think about your distances when you're driving, okay, in icy weather, making sure that you're not braking too hard. I'm not going into that too much, Dave. Go back to a previous theory workshop I've done a few weeks ago. We actually did speak about stopping distance and stuff, okay, previously on that. But yeah, just watch it, okay, obviously rural roads, find maybe a lot of rural roads, side roads and things like that, don't get gritted, the same as main roads. So if you're on a side or a rural road, be extra careful because the road may not have been gritted. Get a lot of black ice. The thing about black ice obviously is you can't see it, so it can actually be lethal. Most cars nowadays will, inside have an outside temperature gauge. So it is obviously warning you, and obviously, so when that temperature starts to drop down to about 3 degrees, watch it, because obviously that's where ice can start to form, because obviously, you know, there could be pockets of areas, where that temperature's already dropped below freezing. So although you think, oh, hang on, it's still 3 degrees, it's not frozen yet. All right, yeah, you need to kind of watch that out. So, you know, be aware of what the outside temperature is, so it'll kind of alert you, to how you should be driving. Rain, yeah, we're going to get probably lots of it now and that. So think about the rain again. That's affecting stopping distances. It's going to obviously increase our stopping distance by double amount as normal. Yeah, just think about that. Obviously, the problem when you're driving in rain, you're going to get a lot of spray coming up from other vehicles, especially large vehicles like lorries and buses and that. So maybe think about, again, keeping, not just thinking about your stopping distance, but keeping further back from those vehicles when you're driving, so you're not getting in that wash of spray all the time. You know, you're keeping back from that, which is going to help your visibility. Switch your dipped headlights on, make yourself more visible. Obviously switching your lights on isn't going to improve your visibility for you, what you're seeing, but it's certainly going to improve the visibility so other road users can see you more. It's going to stand out. So don't put your side lights on, put your dipped headlights on. Alright, so that's nice bright headlights coming at the front, tail lights are on the back, it's making you more visible. Think about, when you've had a lot of rain, we're going to get lots of puddles and stuff that, around at the side of the road. Now again, be careful there, because one, obviously, especially if we're driving in built up areas, we don't want to be driving through puddles and obviously causing a lot of spray and splashing pedestrians. Again, it is an offence to do that, so be careful. But again, what's in that puddle? You don't know if that puddle is disguising a pothole. Sometimes you don't really know how deep it is. So again, if you can avoid that puddle safely, like you would a parked car, check your mirrors, and if it's safe, avoid it. It's much better to maybe go round it than drive through it, because if there is a pothole, then obviously you could find that you're going into that and obviously damaging your car, tyres, wheels, suspension or whatever. So think of puddles as a hazard, like you would any other one. If you can't avoid it, slow right down, obviously don't drive through it at speed. Aquaplaning, so obviously there's a chance, that, you know, obviously with the rain, aquaplaning. So aquaplaning, is where your steering, will suddenly start to feel very, very light. And what's actually happening, is you've got a build-up of water between your tyres and the tarmac. So obviously, effectively, you're skiing on the water. So obviously, you're losing grip. Now, if you're aquaplaning, then obviously the thing we should be doing there is coming off the accelerator and allowing the car to gradually slow down. What we don't want to do is suddenly brake, because the problem is, by braking suddenly and suddenly slowing down, your tyres are going to suddenly grip, and that sudden grip could actually cause us to lose, some control of the car, so it could be quite dangerous. So again, you should just obviously ease off the gas, and allow the car to gradually slow down, to regain grip. General cause of aquaplaning, is poor tread on tyres. So again, going back to what we were saying about the tyres at the start, if your tread level, on your tyres is really, really low, then obviously when you're driving through, waterlogged roads, then if your tread is low, the tyres, the tread can't get rid of the water, so again that's more likely. So you're more likely to get aquaplaning on tyres with low tread depth, alright, but obviously on high. So again, having good tyres, good conditioned tyres on this time of year, is going to certainly reduce, the chance of you aquaplaning. Floods. So we get, flooding on the roads and stuff, so be very, very careful. Just seen on the news recently where there's been roads flooded and cars have tried to go through and obviously couldn't overwhelm and actually had to abandon the car, actually, you know, water's kind of been gone waist height and things like that. If you're not sure about the depth of the water, okay, then the thing to do is stop, turn around, don't try and go through it, don't risk it. All right, so yeah, just think about that. Other weather conditions we start to get coming in this time of year: high, heavy winds, okay, crosswinds, okay. I live near the Humber Bridge, so I cross the Humber Bridge quite a lot. Now at times, okay, really sometimes can feel the effects of crosswinds because it's a very open stretch of road going over the bridge, so you can really start to feel, okay, the wind actually kind of wanting to push you over. So again, slow your speed down, okay. If you're passing a lorry, the problem is when you pass the lorry and the wind's coming from that side, okay, the lorry is going to, when you're passing it, is going to end up being a windbreak. So all of a sudden, okay, you feel all right, and as you're passing the lorry, all of a sudden, okay, that wind can catch you again and really catch you out. So be very, very aware of crosswinds and think about reducing speeds. The other thing about windy days is debris. You get a lot of debris on the road, okay, so bits of branches on the road, so watch out for debris when you're driving and that, okay. The last thing you want to do is drive over debris that could possibly damage the car, damage your tyres, catch something underneath the car like pipes or something like that. So again, you know, try and avoid debris. I had it on a lesson earlier on this year actually on a windy day, and we're driving along and a wheelie bin just came across the road out of nowhere. So you need to watch out, okay, for sort of like debris and stuff, okay, that could be blown into the road and that. Fog, probably my least favourite weather condition for myself. Why? Because obviously you can't see anything. I really don't like fog. So if it is really, really foggy, advice, okay, is your drive really necessary? And it's like any extreme weather conditions, okay? If the weather conditions are really, really extreme, and normally sometimes, okay, the police putting local warnings out saying don't drive, you know what, then it's probably worth thinking about that. You know, if your journey is not that necessary, probably safer for you not to drive. But if you are driving these conditions, you need to think about that. So fog, the worst thing to do when you're driving in fog is try to stay and follow the vehicle in front where you're keeping their lights in view. The problem there is, okay, is that stopping distance enough? Probably not. So if that vehicle suddenly has to brake hard and that you're not going to have enough time and you're going to go into the back end of it. So, you know, it's a false sense of security that to try and keep, you know, the lights of the vehicle in front in view. Okay, keep back, make sure that you've got your fog lights on. So remember, fog lights should be used if visibility is less than 100 meters. So obviously if that's the case, make sure your fog lights are on. Not all cars have front fog lights. I think most cars nowadays do, but you'll have a rear fog light. But if you've got front fog lights, make sure that your fog lights are on. Make sure again, okay, you know where those fog lights are before you start the journey. I mean, obviously, you know, you could start your journey and it's clear and you get into fog. So these are the things, okay, you should actually know where they are. So obviously in the event that you need them, you know how to switch them on and you also know how to switch them off. So remember, once you get out of that fog area and it becomes clear again, don't leave your fog lights switched on. You should switch them off. So if visibility increases over 100 meters, they should be turned off. Fog lights are very, very bright, high density lights. And the problem is, okay, if we leave them switched on, they're causing problems to other drivers, dazzling them and making it harder for them to see. So, you know, if you've got patchy fog, it might be that you need to turn your fog lights on, and as you come out of it, turn them off. So again, it is important that you know how to switch them on and off easily, so you can obviously do that and not cause other road users problems. So who knows what we're going to get this winter? Are we going to get lots of ice and snow? But again, thinking about the conditions, okay, driving in ice and snow. Thing as well, okay, when you get up in the morning and I don't know, you see your car is covered in snow, clear the snow off the car before you start your journey. Alright, again, just like ice, make sure that all your windows are cleared properly and also the snow is off the car. Again, you see it, okay, where people have left, you know, a mound of snow, okay, on the roof of their car and they're driving along. The problem with that is blowing off your car and possibly causing problems to the driver behind you. So again, we should be clearing all the snow off the car, okay, before we actually start driving. again, all right, it is a legal requirement, and that, so if you found, okay, driving with all that snow on the car, you could find, okay, that the police, okay, end up pulling you over. So think about other people's safety as well as yours. Make sure the car is completely clear. Think about how you're driving. I'm not looking too much in there, but obviously, you know, reducing speed, and it's again important, good tyres, good brakes, etc. All right, making sure that your car is in good condition to drive in these conditions. The thing I'll say to you, okay, is obviously, you know, in the winter time, it might be a good idea to always keep some essentials in the car with you. So making sure that things like water, snacks, because again, when we get hit by this bad weather, we get stuck on the road and all that, like how long we're going to get stuck for. So also make sure, okay, that you've always got enough fuel in the car. Don't set off, okay, with, you know, low fuel, because if you get stuck and you've got low fuel and all that lot, you know, sometimes, okay, you might want to keep the engine running to keep yourself warm, okay, because you can't move. So always make sure that you've got plenty of fuel in the car. Let's say water, snacks. It's even a good idea to take some blankets with you, have in the boot of the car, and even a decent shovel. So obviously if you do get stuck in that, okay, you've got something, okay, way of shoveling the snow away. So some essentials, okay, to always have with you this time of year. So it's just always a case of, okay, thinking about your journey, and I think this is one of the problems. People don't actually think about the weather, how the weather can affect them on the journey, not only, okay, with the driving, but also the condition of the car. So it's something that we do need to think about. One other one is sunshine, bright sunshine. The problem is, okay, coming into the winter time particularly, you know, we get a nice sunny day, all right, but the problem is that sun is hanging low in the sky all the time. So again, it can cause, okay, it can dazzle you, it can blind you. Particularly as well, okay, if you've got a wet road. So you're getting that bright sunshine and the sun's also then reflecting off the road. So again, reduce your speed, slow down. Good tip, okay, is also keep a decent pair of sunglasses in the car, because even in the winter time, wearing a pair of sunglasses can obviously just reduce that dazzle and that, and just help you a little bit in that. So, you know, don't think about the weather, okay, halfway through the journey. Think about the weather, plan your journey. If you're getting, you know, in the wintertime, icy mornings, prepare to leave earlier, because you're going to need to possibly de-ice your car, get the ice off and things like that, alright? And I think that's half the problem with that. People leave everything to the last minute, they're just scraping a little bit of ice off a little hole, because obviously they're in a rush and a hurry in that. Alright, and you could end up paying the price for doing that. So, you know, think about it, plan it, okay? If you say go to Driving Essential Skills, okay, chapter 12 in there, okay, that chapter is all about, okay, weather conditions and driving and all that lot, okay, it's definitely worth a read to get more details about driving in different weather conditions and stuff like that. Talk to your driving instructor about it. The one thing I didn't mention actually this time of year is leaves. Okay, the trees are turning, leaves are starting to drop on the floor, and actually leaves, okay, really cause, okay, poor grip on the road. Sometimes it can be when it's wet, the leaves are wet and slippery, it can have the same effect of driving on ice. So when you're driving in areas where you've got lots of leaves on the road, again, think about reducing your speed, okay, it could cause problems. So have a chat to your driving instructor about weather conditions and stuff. And, you know, I do with my pupils, okay, is when it's bad weather, they start the lesson, okay, I'll always ask them, okay, right, how's the weather going to affect our drive? What sort of things, okay, might we need to use? Or what sort of things, okay, are we going to need to think about, okay, within the drive that's going to obviously keep us safer on the drive? And it's something that we need to think about. Okie dokie, I think that kind of really pretty much covers it. As I say every week, alright, please like and share, alright, share the video. I'm trying to increase the audience, okay, for people that I am really giving you some vital top tips information here, all for nothing. All I'm asking you guys to do is just share my video so other people, if you know somebody learning to drive, you know, a friend, a relative or whatever, tell them about Direct Drive Hub, okay, put them onto this, because obviously, you know, there's some great stuff here, okay, it's not just to pass your theory test. Obviously what we've spoken about tonight will help, because obviously you could be asked questions related to weather on your theory, so it's going to help you. But it's also helping, okay, on the practical side of your driving, making, okay, you have better knowledge, better understanding. It's going to make you better prepared, okay, for your driving. So if you know somebody that's learning to drive, please pass them on, okay, let them know that we do a theory workshop on a Tuesday night, goes out at 7 o'clock every Tuesday. It stays on our page, so you can always come back and view it at a later time. So it's there for you. So yeah, please let everybody know, share it. You can catch us on our website, directdrivehub.co.uk, and we are here every Tuesday. Okay everybody, I hope you all have a great week. Hope the weather's not too bad for us. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.